And just where all the artists and musicians decrying war, inequality, racism, we all relied on in the past to be our mouthpiece against the powerful. That is such a great point. And it's something I brought up before on this show. So in the 60s and 70s, all these artists and musicians and actors and athletes were speaking up because you had to take a stand on the Vietnam War. You had to take a stand on civil rights. You had to take a stand on women's rights. You just had to. You had to take a stand on this. You had to take a side. You couldn't just like, well, I don't know. You had to take a side. So just to give you Hollywood, to give you a little history lesson as to why it's harder to do now, guess what? It's big corporations. What, Graham? Why are you always saying that? Connect the money, follow the money, connect the dots, find the truth, right? So to give you a little Hollywood history lesson. So the studio system was the old school system in like the 40s and 50s and 60s, where you had the big studio and there was just like one guy, like Louis B. Mayer, right? He ran this studio, MGM. And if you were a young actor, if you're an actor, whatever, Clark Gable came up in the studio system. Let's just use him as an example. He got a studio contract. You as an actor got a studio contract, and the studio said, you're under contract. We're going to pay you this amount of money every year, and you're going to do whatever we tell you to do. So you'd show up at the studio and be like, this month you're working on a musical. Tomorrow you're going to, they give you singing lessons, dancing lessons. They train you. They groom you. They controlled your whole life. They told you who to date. They'd say, you're dating this actress and you're going to go to that restaurant. And they would make sure that there was publicists there and the press was there to shoot photos of you with this young starlet, to go out in all the magazines. Oh, so-and-so is dating so-and-so, right? So that's how that whole machine got put into place. And they told you, you're going to do this movie, you're going to that movie, you're going to this movie. So the studio system started to crumble in the late 60s, when everybody was challenging everything. So this is, again, what the ruling elites had learned. Everyone started protesting, burning draft cards. The studio system collapsed. So then in the 70s, there's a great book called Easy Riders, Raging Bulls. And it's literally like the inmates were running the asylum. So you had all of these really amazing films and some TV shows, but movies that really challenged things. Movies that 3 Days of the Condor, The Deer Hunter, Apocalypse Now, movies that had heavy anti-war messages. Now, I've said this before, especially Apocalypse Now, many of those movies, they had anti-war messages, but they still had a very sort of slanted, stereotypical, racist view of the Vietnamese, which was not good. But you also cannot deny they had heavy anti-war messages. But anyway, these movies were not John Wayne. There's a Vietnam movie called John Wayne made, called The Green Berets. And it's this like John Wayne gung-ho Vietnam movie. And it is such a piece of propaganda. And it showed you the divide between like the older generation that still thought Vietnam should be supported like World War II, and the younger generation that was like, we're done with these wars. So you had all this resistance. You had artists speaking up. You had people like Jane Fonda. I mean, you had all of these artists speaking up, and they took a lot of shit, but they made really powerful movies that had social commentary, that demanded for peace, that questioned authority, questioned rulers. The 80s, the big corporations bought up all of the media companies, all of the studios. And then you had the Blockbuster, and that's when American exceptionalism started really getting pushed. So now, if you're an actor, a big Hollywood celebrity, and you want to speak out against the war machine, you're done. You're done. And I still think there's a lot of people in Hollywood that they're also just, and same with the pro athlete, and they're paid well. So they don't want to give up the fancy house and the cars and the private jets and the whatever. The jewelry and the bling bling and the fame and the pretty ladies and the pretty, dating celebrities, even the female, they get to, you're a beautiful female athlete, star, movie star. You get to date other beautiful people, you're given all that. You're given the keys to the kingdom, and they'll take it away. And no one's willing to take a stand. And last summer they were starting to realize, I got to take a stand. And now they're not. You got people like Maya Moore, who plays in the WNBA, and she's like an all-star. She's got championship ring. She stopped playing because she's like, I'm going to fight, social justice stuff. I'm not going to play basketball anymore. And I wonder if more athletes are going to do that. I don't know. But you're not going to get a lot of play. You're not going to win Grammys. You're not going to win Emmys. You're not going to win Oscars. You're not going to win Golden Globe Awards if you're calling out the war machine. If you do a documentary showing how bad Trump is, you'll get something. But even the Oscars is propaganda. One of the Oscars for best documentary a couple years ago was this White Helmets doc showing how great the White Helmets are. It's more bullshit propaganda for us to justify. There's not a documentary that's going to get an Oscar that's going to show the United States backing Al-Qaeda and ISIS, which is true, to fight Assad because Assad won't let us build a pipeline through his country. There's not going to be any documentary that's going to win an Oscar like that because they control everything. And again, the big corporations control all of the major media outlets. And look, Kaepernick, okay, now they've apologized and okay, but that was send a message. Hey man, you want to take a knee? You're done. Your $10 million contract, bye, gone. You're done. You're done. So if you become a big time A-list celebrity, or big time, top tier sports athlete, and you're getting big, shoe contracts. And I would do that. Like this guy for Jacksonville did, I think last fall for the NFL. He got paid half of his salary in Bitcoin. So it was like $2.6 million he was paid in Bitcoin in the fall when Bitcoin was at like 20,000 a coin. So now already, that's what I would, if they pay me a bunch of money, I'd buy Bitcoin and invest it well and then start speaking out so that if they fired me or Kaepernicked me, I'd be like, too bad, bitch. I got all this money. Fuck your war machine. Watch an interview with the guy that played James Bond in Her Majesty's Secret Service, George Lazenby, Australian guy. That movie was in the 60s, and he started to get involved with the anti-Vietnam War movement and growing his hair out. And he's like, I don't want to do this movie because it promotes war. Fired. Gone. Great question, Harry. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.